So then, although by the time I've got this video edited, it'll probably been a week and a bit since I've done it, but at the time of recording, it was just over a week since I did the lift hill walk of the Swarm at Thorpe Park. So I've had a few days since doing it, and now I feel that I'm pretty confident to go over what I think of the experience and whether I'd recommend it. So then, first off, I think I should go through what the experience essentially was, and that is essentially that you get to the park and you can enjoy your day in the park if you choose to go in it. You don't necessarily need to, but after park close, you go to the front of the park to the experiences office. You get welcomed by your VIP host, who then take you over to the events marquee where you get harnessed up and given a safety brief, which is brilliant to see. You then go over to the ride and you get to go into the op cabin, you lock off on the ride, and they explain that this is because you need to lock off on a ride so that the ride can't be started while you're in the ride area, and then you begin to ascend the lift hill, and that was absolutely great fun. You get to go up and you stand at the top and you don't feel rushed in any way, shape or form. You come back down again, you get taken back to the events marquee, you get given a certificate and everything, and then you go on your merry way back home. And that is essentially the way that the experience was structured. And I'll go over now into the positives that I think of it, because there are a lot of positives to it. And the main thing which I think really did shape the experience to make it as great as it was the factor of groups were quite small. The max number I think you can have is 6, and there was only actually 5 people in our group, because there was a group of 3 and then me and my friend, which meant it was absolutely great because you felt quite sort of personal with your group and it didn't feel too overcrowded, which meant that you really felt confident to ask the questions, and I really did think that made the world of difference. The other cool part was because it was sort of, they split you up to 3 either side of the lift hill max, or 3 for their side and 2 for our side. It really did mean that on our side of the lift hill, it was me, my friend and the VIP host, so it really did feel like quite a cool thing to do. And that was the other thing which I want to mention. The hosts that we had doing the experience were absolutely great. Like, they were really, really great. They didn't make you feel like a burden. That was something which I heard people mention, then thought, hang on, yeah, they've been at work all day and then they've got to take us up a lift hill. Are they going to be a bit annoyed about it? And to be honest with you, you really didn't feel that way. They're in fact so welcoming that you sort of just felt like you were enjoying having a chat with them, and it really didn't feel awkward in any way, which was absolutely great, because it really did feel like a great fun experience. There was no stress for that, because they didn't really feel like there was any rush. They let you take your time with everything. They were happy to answer any questions. They were good fun and a good laugh. But yeah, they were absolutely brilliant, the people leading the experience, so I can't criticise that in any way, shape or form. The other thing that I think was absolutely great was after you did the experience, you were in fact given lanyards, certificates and a pin badge, which is absolutely awesome to see, because it means that you've got a little memento of the thing you did. You've got the certificate which shows the achievement that you walked up the lift hill, but it's also a thing to sort of look back and remember the experience for, and something that you're getting a bit more in your money that you paid for it, which is absolutely great. And the other thing which I think was really awesome is something which is obviously only going to be relevant before the nights start drawing out. But walking up this lift hill was great because it meant that when you were walking up it, it was starting to get darker and you could see all the lights coming on over London and everything. And it was a really cool view. I have to say, it was amazing looking over it at night, especially when you looked off at Hyperia in the distance with the sort of night sky behind it. It looked awesome. So I have to say, that was actually one of the parts which I didn't really think about. I was more focusing on looking at the rest of Thorpe Park, looking out past Thorpe Park, which was actually the part which was most mesmerising, really, if I'm being honest. Now I'll go on to the negatives, because there is a few that I think I have to mention. I've got to be honest, I always say I'm going to give my honest opinion, so I do have to mention them in this video. And that is that firstly, I don't agree with the no GoPro thing rule. Now, the workaround they've got of this I actually think is brilliant and works great, and that is you get to put your phone in a lanyard around your neck and tuck it into the pocket of your harness, and then when you're stationary and not moving on the lift hill, you can then take photos. And I have to be honest, I typically got the one which looked the most foggy. My friend's one wasn't hardly foggy at all. In fact, I was able to take the images he sent over that he got of me on the walk, and they look great. You wouldn't even know they were in a lanyard, for goodness sakes. But unfortunately, mine weren't. They were quite foggy, but at the end of the day, it's for safety reasons. With your phone, you can drop it. But a solution to that would be if they let people use GoPros, because you can have them on a chest harness. Now, I get why parks are saying no, because I guess it kind of ruins the experience for other people. But at the same time, it's not exactly going to. It's something which you can use as a personal memento. And to be honest with you, I wasn't really going to bring a GoPro with me to do this experience in the first place, mainly because we booked it last minute. But the only reason I've done both of these walks is because I've always wanted to do them. So the YouTube thought, I'll be honest, the reviews is an afterthought. It is something because I want to make a video talking about how I found the experiences. So the GoPro thing is something which I think would just optimize that for creating memories for people. Now, the other reason which I think might be why the parks are saying it is the Petzl harness gear you wear does have the clips around your chest area, so maybe that's why, is that just the GoPro would get in the way. But that's something which I'd like to see them change, just because it would be cool to video it and get memories for the rest of your life, really, to share with your friends and everything from doing these walks. So Hopefully that's something that changes, but that is one thing which I have to mention was a little disappointing. After that, the thing which I said I need to mention back to in terms of the mechanism on walking up the lift hill, that is something which I want to mention is not a negative, but something to consider, is it's quite fiddly to get the mechanism through the guiders on the lift hill, because you kind of follow up a cable with the mechanism you have to push through. If you have like mobility issues, you'll struggle with it quite a lot. Now I have to say I was the worst at this, probably because it was just me being stupid, not getting it through the mechanism properly, which was hilarious for my friend, and he couldn't stop laughing at me because it kept getting stuck. But the solution is to, when it gets stuck, it's essentially tell you to wiggle it around to try and push it through. If you struggle with sort of your hands and everything and mobility, that might be an issue that you need to bring up with the park's events team. That might be an issue which it might be worth you emailing the park about before doing the experience, just to check that it will be okay for you to do it. But it's probably a reason of I was just typically really bad at getting it through the guiders, because it honestly, it was funny. The group to the right hand side on the other side of the lift hill to us was up there in double the time, and when we were going back down, I was looking, trying to get it through the guiders, then looked and they were already at the bottom, which was quite comical. But yeah, do bear that in mind. But it's just probably me on that one, I do have to say. It's great though, because now I've got the Oblivion one in a few weeks time, and I'm terrified for that one because it's going to be the same mechanism, isn't it? So that'll be comical to see. So then, now that I've mentioned all my points, I'll go on to if I recommend doing the experience. And I have to say, the first thing which I need to mention, the pricing. If you were a Merlin annual pass holder for like Platinum passes or a Thorpe Park annual pass, it costs, I think it was £56 because you get a discount, which I think is a reasonable price for what you get out of the experience. Now I do have to say, without pass holder discount, it is in fact £70, which is a little bit steep in my opinion. But if you were going as you were like a Merlin pass holder or a Thorpe Park annual pass holder with that discount, I think it is justifiable spending the money on it in my opinion, because you did get your money's worth and it was really good fun. And in fact is something which I clearly enjoyed enough, because when at the end they mentioned all the other experiences they did, I'm very tempted to do more, and in fact will most likely try and book onto the Saw one sometime soon, because it looks absolutely great. So I do have to say, I would recommend doing it, especially because of the factor of, I think this is something that if we encourage by going on these experiences, the parks are more likely to bring more out in future. Because we're joking around with everyone in our group that they'd probably do ones for Hyperia and how long it would take to walk up to the top of it. If we're encouraging buying these experiences, they did say they've entertained the thought and people asking it within the Thorpe Park team themselves. So you never know, if we actually mention this and really encourage them, we might be walking up Hyperia's lift hill sometime soon, which is great to think about. And it really was just a great experience to go on. So then, thank you for watching. If you have done the experience, I'd love to know what you thought of it and what you would say about the experience and whether you would recommend going on it. Please do put it in the comments, it'd be great to see, and I'll find myself reading through it, because a lot of the time I see in the comments people mentioning things and I go, I can't believe I'd never thought of it from that point of view, and it's great to sort of see what other people think on it. If you did enjoy this video, please do like and subscribe, it really does make the world of difference and really does help this channel out, and I'll see you all in the next one.